why are we bothering to stifle? My opinion, sir, if we stop regulating insurance rates, you'd pay less. That's the God's honest truth. Is that you might pay more for the next 6 months, but I guarantee you, when the 15 plus AAA rated companies that do not set foot in this state came here, we'd see our insurance rates go down.
And just the same model happens. This is what's called a regulated industry. The exact same model happens with power. We don't have I get FPL, I imagine you guys get FPL. You don't really have a choice. So how does FPL decide then to set their rates? We have something called the Public Service Commission. FPL serves the most people and generally per kilowatt hour has the lowest. But they don't actually, they create the power, but they don't get the raw materials. The cost of producing the solar, the cost of oil fluctuates. The cost of natural gas fluctuates, and the PSC allows rate increases based on the cost of the fuel that it takes to produce. So ideally, they don't want to raise rates. They're very happy with the profit margins they currently have.
They're guaranteed 10%.
They're very happy. The problem is when oil goes double, then many times their profit margin is zeroed out or negative. So since it's since this is a regulated industry, it's not just with insurance, it's with power and cable and a whole bunch of other factors out there.
John, this pile here is for skip one. You're going to start seeing me skip some because if we've covered the topic or even just touched on it, we're going to keep them in a separate pile. And most of you have given phone numbers and emails, and we're going to follow up directly with you because I don't want people that came here with other questions not to get it. So these two were on employee benefits, and then why do I hate abortion?
Okay, I'm gonna and here's one. I'll go over this really quickly since this changed a little bit, and this is an abortion one, but it's got a quick answer. You both stated you are pro-life. Does that include forcing a woman who's raped and beaten to carry a pregnancy to term, even if the fetus is conceived against her will? Why or why not? There was a bill last year that dealt with this. The promise of the sponsor was, though it was unconstitutional, the promise of the sponsor was to pull that out of the bill if it made the first stop. Even in the House, it made the first stop. It did not. The bill came up again this year. The sponsor of the bill came, I'm sure he came to Representative Workman. He sits right next to me. He's a preacher. And he said, I'd like you to co-sponsor again. I asked him, will that be removed? He said, no. I am not a co-sponsor, was not a co-sponsor. It didn't go anywhere, but I did not co-sponsor. I'm strongly pro-life, but that bill, it's his first bill he's sponsoring again next year. He's already filed, he told me, if he doesn't take that provision out, I will not co-sponsor it. So that's a quick answer on that one.
With a supermajority, let me read that again. With a supermajority in both the House and Senate, why did E-Verify fail? Was it immigration one of the priorities you both campaigned for? New topic. Let me see. Say amen. With a supermajority in both houses, why did E-Verify fail? Was immigration a priority that we campaigned for? Yes, it was. I was very I was very much out in front about doing immigration reform in this state. I believe that immigration costs the state about $3 billion a year. You, the taxpayer, about $3 billion a year between educating illegal immigrants, criminal justice for illegal immigrants, and health care for illegal immigrants. That is an unfair tax burden to the citizens of the state, and the federal government simply is not doing their job. They aren't doing their job under President Obama, and they didn't do their job under President Bush, and I mean, keep going back. They have not done their job, and it is time that the states step up and do their job, because I believe very seriously that we have delegated certain sovereign powers to the federal government. When we created the federal government, we said, you know what, we all can't do treaties, we all can't have a national defense, so we're going to give you some things. One of them was immigration control or border security. They have yielded that responsibility in my mind, and as a result of their yielding, it becomes a state responsibility. I voted for a bill that was Arizona-type legislation that allowed a police officer right here in this great city to verify whether or not you live, if you're living here legally. And if you're not living here legally, then we will pick you up and we will take you to the nearest ICE station. We will deport you to your home residence in your foreign country. it also required E-Verify of all employers. At the end of the day, the House passed that overwhelmingly. The Senate stripped it and sent it back to us very diluted. It still would have been a start, quite honestly. So the next question is, well, why did you take it back up? The answer is, when it comes back to that way, it needs 2/3, which we have a 2/3 majority. So you're saying, why did you do it, Workman? Well, because you can clap. The South Florida Republicans stood firm against immigration and refused to allow it to be brought back up, and the bill died on the House floor. If we had to do it over again, I would 100% vote for that same bill again, but I would also run another bill. I learned one thing. I learned a lot, but one thing I learned last session was that we have a problem in this country. I'm going to say something here that's going to ruffle some feathers. You remember when George Bush, President Bush, said that we need workers to work these fields because Americans won't go out there and pick strawberries and stuff? It really ticked me off when he said that. I said, who do you think you are? Yeah. Americans will work these fields. Yes. Listen. They won't. They won't.
Not for those wages.
They won't. No, farmers will pay $22 an hour, but they expect you to work sun up to sundown with a lunch break.
So then realize that they're a necessary evil sometimes.
Not illegally, though. That's my whole point. 20 years ago, this very state had an immigrant worker program where we flew you in from Haiti. We put you on a farm for a couple of years, put you up in a little condo. You stayed there for 24 months. You stayed there 24 months in a day. You were arrested, deported, and never allowed to come back again. I want a immigrant worker program in this state again, so they can come up here. And then, you know what? Where does most of the money go that an illegal immigrant makes? Back to Mexico. It really does. It goes back. We can make that legal for them. We can make that legal for them through an immigrant worker program.
That's the point of my question. Why are you wasting time on racial profiling bills like Arizona, which go after individuals, which by the way, illegal immigrants contribute more to our taxes than giant corporations like GE. But why not go after? It's true. They do pay in the taxes. They pay payroll taxes. They pay sales taxes.
They don't pay payroll tax. They pay sales tax.
Depends on how they're cooking their books.
Oh, if they stole a Social Security number?
Why are you going, which they do, why are you going after the individuals, which is ineffective and racial profiling and catches all kinds of innocent people, instead of going...
Where were you born?
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Instead of going after the corporations that are manipulating these people.
E-Verify does that.
Exactly.
And I passed E-Verify. I was born in Canada. My family immigrated to the United States. Don't laugh. It's still immigration, and it took me 10 years to get my citizenship. And while I stood in line to get my citizenship, how many millions of people illegally came into this country? And that ticks me off, because it was very difficult and a very proud day for me to become a citizen of this country. And as an immigrant, I think that you need to get in line like everybody else. And I will personally start riding along with ICE to deport these folks. And our bill, by the way, specifically outlaws, which, by the way, is currently illegal, if a South Beach police officer racial profiles an African American right now, he's going to lose his badge and likely serve jail time. Racial profiling is illegal, and our bill reiterated the fact that you can't do it on race. And trust me, you just said it a minute ago. Cops are pillars of society. They are going to do the best they can to make sure they're doing it for all the right reasons. And our bill said if you are part of an investigation of a crime, not a traffic stop, but a crime, then your obligation is to prove that you are here legally in this country. And I think that's the right way to go.
And just on E-Verify, real basic, if you don't know what E-Verify is, it's a federal government system in which you type in a bunch of information. It lasts about 5 to 6 minutes, and they verify that the person is here legally and is able to work. It sounds relatively easy. And for most folks it is. The problem is a large percent, it's actually not too large of a percentage, but when you employ a ton of people, as Walmart and Disney does, there comes back false negatives. People that aren't here illegally, their name is too close, their address, and then you have, it's either 8 or 10 days to go back and double check, and the problem is they've run the figures, it costs about $20 to do that. Disney claims that this will cost them $1 million a year. So I believe you're for E-Verify. So you understand that we get shackled with friends of
Hey,
big
Chamber
business.
of Commerce was against E-Verify in a big way. And,
hugely, and yet
I got another email saying I was sold out to Chamber of Commerce, and I'm thinking, I think I voted pretty solidly against them. I think E-Verify is great. Little Workman Mortgage, my little family business. We're going to have to do it. Wait, if I ever hire somebody again.
So that's E-Verify. Will it come up? It probably will in the House. Question is, whether it'll get.
Good news, it's election year next year, so we shall see. All right, since I've been teaching at Gallia High School, thank you for that. I have seen many teachers leave to sell insurance, install screen enclosures, paint houses, all vocations that do not require college but do pay more sometimes. What are you doing to reverse this? Merit pay does not work. What are you going to do to the teachers? Give the insurance a fully funded, on a regular basis, salaries, fully funded salaries. I believe very strongly in merit pay. Very, very strongly. We'll argue this as much as we argue abortion. I believe very, very strongly that there are mostly, and especially in this county, and Brian, I'll back you up, most of teachers will earn a merit raise. Some will earn a little bit more, some will earn a little bit less, but most of our teachers will earn a merit pay. But there are some that will never see a raise again, and I will kiss the face of the bill as a result. Because I'm a product of this school system, and I right now could go find you the worst teacher in this county. I know him very, very well. And I know that he was fired from his current school, and he's currently teaching at another. And that's just the dance of the lemons. And that man he does not deserve a raise. And what we used to have before we had this bad budget is step raises, which meant no matter how good or bad I was, no matter if I was just what I called a blah teacher, I'm just blah. I show up, I check in, I read the curriculum, I don't engage a parent, I don't engage a student, I'm just there because, by God, I got 25 years, 5 more to go, I'm done. Don't care if that kid learns or not. Well, remember, our Constitution says what about education in this state? It's paramount, correct? The teacher does not have the right to buy his or her time for 5 years. And I want to see that teacher not get the same raise at the end of the year simply because he's now got 26 years, along with the other teacher that worked his or her tail off and did very well. My commitment to you, thank you, my commitment to you, I believe in
You are talking to me, but I wanted to...
My commitment to you is that we will fully fund merit pay. And all I need you to do is continue your greatness. If you're a great teacher, continue it, and you're going to make more money.
I'm sorry, but I've been teaching 32 years, and this has been the carrot stick for all of those 32 years. I don't believe you, because it's never happened. We are... what other profession requires you to go to college and get poor salaries, and now you're cutting the pensions? I'm sorry, nobody. Why would anybody go to college to be a teacher? I just graduated. I have no idea. No, because it's been year after year after year. I have a master's degree and 32 years experience and make $59,000, and I make less every year. Where? Where's the jar?
But that's just it.
What other profession?
I have a hand, Frank.
Insurance. One of the things that I'm curious about.
Who should teach children?
It sounds good, but what seems to be anomalous as a Republican, and Governor Scott also being a Republican and having refused the train system, how could you sign off on a bill like that starts with $1 billion of stimulus money? I think that's what the lady might be worried about in the end, is there's stimulus money, there's fake money that seeded this program. And y'all as Republicans are against stimulus money, so she's effectively saying, she's predicting right now that you can't deliver on this promise because it's starting with federal funding money. So why would we go with Obama Ed, for instance? Why did we sign up this way? Why did we do this?
The only reason I ever bring up, I like Obama Ed, race to the top, is because it squelched a lot of attitudes that merit pay is simply a Republican credential or Republican idea, because Obama can't back away from it. He put it in his book.
But don't you agree?
So that's the only reason I bring him up. No, I disagree because
the whole bill is based on President Obama's national standards. Is that not correct?
No, I don't think so.
I think you need to read the bill analysis to see. Okay. I think that's the fundamental problem. And when
this state's been trying for a decade, long before he was even elected in any office, to do merit pay. We screwed up in the STAR program. You were teachers during that. It was a horrible mistake, and we didn't do it well. But Jeb Bush tried to do merit pay. So the reason I answered no to your question is this state's been trying merit pay for a long, long time. We just happen to have the backing of the federal government this time. And so to say that we did it because of that, no. We passed it because of that. We've tried it for over 15 years. You were a recipient